Heather, and I'm back with a new video. And I'm gonna be talking about Disney's 14th animated full-length feature, which is Peter Pan. And this movie came out in 1953. I'm gonna be breaking up this review a bit in sections because I feel like that will help me explain my points better. So I'm going to basically break this up by the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of this film. And well, I think overall this film is like incredibly solid. I feel like there's absolutely a lot of bad things about it, a lot of problematic things, and I'm gonna be talking about that a little bit. So, starting out with the good things, so this film, Nana, she is absolute delight. She is so cute and sweet. She's a Saint Bernard dog, and she's so nice to like the kids and everything, and she brings them medicine, and I just love to have a dog with her. She makes their beds. She's better at that than I am, absolutely. So, I love that the kids treat her like that she's a member of the family, which she absolutely is. And it's heartbreaking when Mr. Darling kicks her out and she has to stay outside. It's unfair. So then we see Peter Pan, and he comes in, and he's constantly bouncing around, which I think actually benefits to his personality, because he does have a bit of a flighty personality. Having him constantly moving, it adds to his character. I also love the animation effects of Tinkerbell. I'm not sure if they ever did this effect with the earlier films or not, but they're able to make her noticeable by making her a glowing orb when it's far away from her, because she is very tiny. So by having knowing where she is and everything, they have this glowing effect around her. And of course this is like way before computer effects, so this is all like animated by hand and everything. She's very sassy and cute, and I think even though she's got a bit of an attitude, I can at least understand where she's coming from. She does get a bit jealous. I'll talk about this more later on, but you know, it's understandable because she's, you know, friends with Peter for so long. Who knows how long they've been friends for, and then all of a sudden these other kids come along and try to invoke in her territory, so I can kind of understand. And then the song, "You Can Fly, You Can Fly, You Can Fly." I was thinking, older movies sure like to repeat phrases over and over. Maybe not necessarily a good thing, but it is a catchy song, so I think it's a pass. And I also really enjoy the relationship between Peter Pan and Captain Hook. I think that's like the most entertaining part of the movie. It's really fun watching them fight each other because it's like pranking to Peter more than he's like, Captain Hook's not really his enemy. It's more like, you're trying to kill me, but it's fine. I'm just gonna play pranks on you. I also felt like the animators had fun with their antics, like animating their antics. The scenes are very cartoony. They're super fun to watch. The voice actor for Captain Hook, which was Hans Conried, he did a fantastic job. I absolutely love his voice in this movie. So now we're going to move on to the bad parts of the film. So these are just kind of going to be things that I didn't really personally enjoy. It's not the worst parts of the film by far, but like just things that I kind of thought were a little about. So this movie got a warning for tobacco usage, like a lot of earlier Disney films have a tobacco usage in them. It's just more common at that time for everyone to be kind of smoking something, so it wasn't like really like looked down upon or anything, and there wasn't like, you know, cigarette ads warning us about like the dangers of smoking at that point, you know. So, but of course there's no warning for pirates or violence or several murders or attempts at murder. There's definitely at least one pirate that gets killed because yeah. They don't show it obviously, but you know, it's kind of just like, just fine, whatever, kids can handle it as long as it's not on scene or on the screen or anything. I've noticed this a lot in animated Disney movies. There's always a warning for tobacco, and there's almost not a warning for alcohol ever, which I always thought was kind of weird. I don't know why they condemn smoking but not underage drinking or anything, or even not even underage drinking, just any characters drinking, but it's kind of weird in thinking about it. Mr. Darling, the kid's dad, He's proof that parents don't understand their children's generation, no matter what decade it is. Absolutely. So, and then we're gonna then we meet the Lost Boys, right? And then all these like little boys dressed up as different animals and everything. And then there's this one, it's the kid that dressed up as the bear. He's like the bigger kid. But his voice is absolutely grating and awful, and I hate it. It's I remember it being bad as a kid. From watching this as a kid, I remember it. But after rewatching it, I feel like it's even more excruciating. Like, just, I wish this movie would just stop giving this kid's lines. He gave him way too many lines. Walt Disney, he has said he's preferred using real children to voice children actors, but I don't know how old this guy was that did his voice, but I don't know. Maybe he should have had a younger kid or an actual adult actor that knew they were doing better. Anyway, I just think it's annoying. So now we're going to move on to The Ugly, and this is going to be the more controversial parts of the film, and I'm sure if you have seen this film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to cut this up into a couple sections. So, first section, casual racism, also known as the 50s. The 50s were a time when people were just barely starting to open up to diversity. Schools were just starting to integrate the different kids of different colors into schools, and it was still extremely controversial at that time, and I think most people probably didn't agree with it, but unfortunately it did happen. Unfortunately it is normalized now, and it's, you know, this isn't an issue anymore, but you know, there's obviously racism still exists, you know, you know this, everyone knows this, so but you know, at least the message in this movie, I feel like it's extremely dated and people can understand why. So anyway, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. So the scene where the Lost Boys, John and Michael, go to the Indian camp is, I feel, hard to watch, to say at the very least. The song's a native sing, which is called What Makes the Red Man Red. It shows how little white people knew of indigenous cultures at that time. It's such a caricature of an entire group of people, it's kind of embarrassing, honestly. It's clear that the chorus is sung by white people, which I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure every single person in the cast was a white person. It's not even... I mean, we can barely even do this now, but it's plain it's not sung by people of Native American heritage. The narrative speaks of Native Americans by explaining that they're savage, but they're also clever, but they're not smart, and they also can't learn the culture of the English aristocracy. The film simplifies Native Americans to such a point where it generalizes the entire race as a stereotype. Exactly what you don't want to do. Disney's been omitting a lot of scenes in older films, but I do think it's a good thing that they did leave this part in the movie. It also kind of would have derailed the entire movie if they did take it out, but you know. It opens up a possible narrative, and it is a good opportunity to teach children and adults about the awful side of history. I think we can use this opportunity to learn things about Native Americans and their wide and varied cultures. There were and are very many different tribes of natives all around the continent. Native Americans were not and are not one stereotype. This is very important, and I can't stress this enough. There is not one single stereotype for all Native Americans. There are so many different cultures and tribes and varied different types of people all around. Not even just this continent, but in all other, like, in other continents where natives still are thriving, like surviving, I guess. There's so many different kinds of things you can learn. We can learn how, but by watching this scene, we can learn how not to treat people and why this depiction of natives is wrong. So I think that it is a good thing that they keep it in, but you have to understand this isn't how we treat people, and this isn't how we should look at people. We should just understand and learn from history and become better for it. Hopefully. Alright, casual sexism. So pretty much all the female characters are treated differently and more negatively than the men. It's not overtly obvious, but it's definitely there. For example, Tinkerbell is jealous because she can't handle her boy crush Peter hanging out with another girl. That's basically her whole personality throughout the movie. She's a jealous and bitter woman. I still really like her personality, and I still think she's like sassy and just like spunky and everything, but you know, she's kind of just like jealous. If we could get past like the jealousy bits and just have her just have a personality, I think she'd be like way more interesting. The mermaids are also seen as petty and jealous because they can't handle Peter Pan being around another girl. There's definitely a pattern involving here in this film. You can see where I'm going. Wendy also has a little more character development. She at least like has a personality where she wants to, you know, explore, and she wants to like go on adventures with everyone, but she also, you know, doesn't want to grow up, but she's, you know, she has like a bunch of things going on for her, but she does become jealous as well, which I think is totally unnecessary. I don't even know why that's in there. Like, Tiger Lily, she gets close to Peter Pan, and Wendy storms off in a huff. Like, there's not even any interaction between Wendy and Tiger Lily in the entire movie. And then she's like, how dare you look at this other girl, which you already knew about before. You know, we've only met like a couple hours ago, but you know. Another thing I noticed is that there are more female characters in this older Disney film than the average older Disney film, but two of the characters don't even have voice actors. So I don't know how much of progression that is, honestly. Alright, so then some other stuff about this film. In the bonus features, there's 2 deleted scenes. One of them is an alternate intro, and the other one is an alternate ending. In the alternate ending sequence, it's specified many times that Wendy lives in the real world and Peter Pan is from an imaginary world, which is Neverland, I'm assuming. It doesn't outright say it's an imaginary world, but it implies that Peter is some kind of creator of that world. I don't know if this is the original story, but I think it's interesting. Like, I don't know if that implies that Peter Pan is some kind of like divine creator of Neverland. I don't know, but it's interesting thinking about it. I think that maybe one of like the theories was like everybody died or something, and then Neverland was like heaven or something, but I don't know if that's a real take or that's just like if that's canon or not. But I think it is hilarious that the voiceovers in this little bonus featurette, they always have like some kind of like the writers or like the editors or something come in and just do some voiceovers, and they're all just adult men doing the Lost Boys, which I thought was hilarious. They don't even try to be like kids, they're just like their regular voices. So all in all, I think this is a solid and entertaining movie. Peter Pan is, as a character, is a bit of a jerk, but you can tell he still cares for the Lost Boys and Tinkerbell. Wendy is a very caring sister to John and Michael, and it's endearing that she wants to stay in the same room with them. And Peter Pan and Captain Hook's relationship is hilarious and extremely entertaining to watch. Definitely the best part of the movie. So a little bit about the drawing. As usual, I did draw Tinkerbell for this one. When I did the original drawing for my lineup that I was working on several years back, I drew Wendy, but that was only because I was drawing every single character like next to each other, so I thought that if I drew Tinkerbell, she'd be like pretty much just an orb like that she is in the movie, like she wouldn't be noticeable. But since this is a series where they're all like separate and none of the characters are interacting with each other, I thought that I could get away with doing Tinkerbell, so she was way more fun to draw too, so. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. How do you guys feel about this movie? Do you think it's outdated, and do you think it's hard to watch because of what's going on nowadays? Do you still really enjoy it nonetheless? Just let me know. And if you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like if you can. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. That would be extremely helpful and make me really happy. Hope you guys all have a great one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everyone. Thank you to my patrons, Aaron Lindo, Ben Wright Human, Brandon Tinch, Colin Warmbrought, Council of Geeks, Dark Leap Master, Hexapus Inc., Jack Mahanteni, Jesse Durona, Merrick Bennett, Story Comic, and a very special thank you to my $10 patrons, Corbin Koval, Jarek Gorley, and Steve Zarzinski.